I don't know if anybody else has come, so we'll just give them a second.
All good? Yeah.
I think there's two coming through security, so just give us a second. So first of all, thank you all for coming out today. Good afternoon. My name is Craig Apple, I'm the Albany County Sheriff. So basically on Wednesday, August 4th, at approximately 8:30 p.m., I received a call from a local attorney. He indicated that he had a female client who wished to come forward and file an allegation of criminal conduct against the government. That call was placed to our 911 center. Communications then reached out to me, asking me to contact him. That's how that call transpired. Obviously, the next morning, Mr. Primo, the attorney for the female victim, was given our investigator's number, given the name of the special victims investigator, Investigator Amy Kowalski, and those two were in contact, and I have since been removed from that. I cannot get into the nature of her specific allegations at this time, obviously. We're in the very infant stages of this investigation. We have a lot of fact-finding to do. We have interviews to conduct, and it would be totally premature for me to comment on any of that. I cannot release any documents at this time, as per agreement with our district attorney, David Soares. I can tell you that Attorney Brian Primo and his client did in fact come in. She filed a formal report alleging criminal conduct against the governor. The conduct was sexual in nature. The meeting, at that point, commences the investigative process for the Albany County Sheriff's Office. The meeting was not lengthy. The meeting was more about explaining the process of the criminal justice system and what to expect going forth. The meeting was approximately 1 hour long, and the victim and the attorney then departed our headquarters station. I cannot go into any detail from there. I can tell you that we've reached out to the Attorney General's office and their private counsel assigned, requesting investigative material that will aid us in going forward, and that's where we are today.
Sheriff, can you say whether any of the complaint had to do with anything outside of the city of Albany or within the city of Albany? Because wondering why they might have one of the sheriffs.
I can tell you that the complaint occurred in the city of Albany. I can tell you that the city of Albany and the state capitol buildings are located in our great county. I am the sheriff of this county, and I have jurisdiction.
But what outside of the city of Albany?
Not that I'm aware of at this time.
Sheriff,
Again, we're in the very infant stages.
Where will you plan on moving to go?
We have not even talked about that at this point.
Sure, can you tell us approximately when this incident occurred?
I'd rather not, sir, at this point. Again, we're in the very infant stages of this investigation. I do not want to go any further on that. We have a report on file that alleges criminal conduct against our governor, and it would be just, at this point, it would not be in our best interest to talk about it.
About 4 months ago, you and I, in very vague terms, talked about this, and you said essentially it's up to the victim to come forward before we take any action of any sort. So, is there any indication of why this is the timing now, now that 4 or 5 months after the initial report, she decided to take action?
I really can't answer that. What I can say is it's obvious that the Attorney General released her report. I think maybe at that point, she became aware of just how brave the other victims are to come forward, and that they have empowered her son as well.
Do you have any estimate of how long an investigation like this usually takes?
You know what? I would be guessing. This is obviously a very high-profile investigation. There's a lot of information out there. We have a lot of fact-finding to do. We have a lot of interviews to do. And you know what? I'm not going to rush it because of who he is, and I'm not going to delay it because of who he is. We're going to conduct a very comprehensive investigation, as my investigators and my staff always do. And when the data and the facts are compiled, we'll make a decision at that point.
Would it help you
Your approach won't change, considering that this is all.
I couldn't hear the beginning of that.
Oh, I'm sorry, so that's when your approach to this investigation won't change as opposed to other investigations, considering this is all.
No, it's obvious a high-profile investigation. It's the governor. But listen, we treat victims the same. We investigate the same. This one just has more eyes on it.
Have you reached out to the governor and his lawyers to notify them of this criminal information?
No, I have not. I have spoken to our district attorney and members of his staff. We have discussed it, and we hope to sit down in the upcoming week to come up with a game plan. Listen, the last thing we want to do is continue to re-victimize these victims and have them tell the story over and over again. And I know I've read the report as well. I've read our report that we took from our victim. And again, I commend them on the bravery for coming forward. And now it's time for us to begin our investigation.
Would your investigation have been assisted at all if the Attorney General also had a criminal investigation instead of what we got earlier this week?
It would be hard for me to answer that. There's other investigative data out there, I'm sure that's the information that we're looking for.
Sheriff, is this the kind of case that could lead to an arrest?
I'm sorry?
How is your investigation different than AG's investigation?
Well, right now, I would say that our investigation is involving criminal conduct. I believe that the Attorney General was given their investigative powers were steered more towards civil investigation. Our investigation is more towards a criminal investigation.
Sheriff, would you be kind enough to walk us through the process going forward from here?
So obviously, Mr. Primo and his client came in on Thursday afternoon. As I said, they had roughly an hour of a more or less meet and greet and explanation of the criminal justice process and how this is going to proceed. From here, we've already requested investigative material from the Attorney General and the private counsel that they had hired out to review what comes back, as well as the district attorney from Albany, and I believe there's several other district attorneys involved in this at this point. Our focus is right here. And then at that point, we'll review that data. At some point, we're going to have our victim back in for probably a very lengthy interview. It could be a series of interviews. And at that point, depending on the facts and the circumstances, we'll sit down with the district attorney and make a decision to move forward with a criminal charge.
And if you did, what would that look like? How would that?
Based on, again, I'm really on the peripherals of this, but it would probably be a misdemeanor, possibly a couple.
And one last question, if I may. You repeatedly used the word victim. There's a presumption there that they have been victimized. You're at the preliminary or very infant stage, you say, of this investigation. So when you say victim, does that telegraph that you believe that they've been victimized?
Well, you're being very presumptuous as well.
No, I don't mean to be, and I apologize. I'm just.
So I think we've all read the Attorney General's report. I think we know what's in it. At this point, I'm very comfortable and safe saying that she is in fact a victim. And again, I commend all of them for coming forward. This is a very tough time, and for something that you know is going to put a lot of stress and pressure on a victim, I give them all the credit in the world.
One of the major parts of this particular allegation was the fact that executive assistant number one is anonymous. So that being said, what do you think is or should be the role of the media as it relates to this? There's probably 20 cameras here right now.
Listen, I obviously want to protect all of the calls. We spend hours of training and learning how to handle victims, and just they've had a lot of stress put on them. They've been through a rough period of time. The last thing I want to do is continue to re-victimize. I think every time that their faces pop up on TV or their names are mentioned on TV or radio, it does in fact probably put more stressors on them. I think, I know that it's, everybody wants to know what's going on, and it's your job to report that. I just think at some point, showing you pictures and things like that, and it's not.
Do you think she needs to maintain her anonymity to protect this investigation?
I would like to see that, but I cannot tell her to do that or not to do that.
Do you think it will be revealed over time as a function of the judicial process?
Yes.
Have there been any requests to subpoena any records from members of the governor's staff in connection with this?
Not at this point, but again, we got this complaint Thursday afternoon.
Sheriff, is the governor going to be questioned, and is this the kind of case that could lead to an arrest?
It would be very premature for me to answer that regarding questioning him, but obviously, yes, it could lead to an arrest.
And so, Sheriff, having your agency in charge of affecting that arrest?
Would our agency be affecting that arrest? Absolutely.
Is there a specific date on the complaint of when the behavior?
I'd rather not get into that.
The Albany Police Department does have some small involvement in this. Is this going to be at some point a joint investigation because of the overlapping jurisdiction with law enforcement?
I'm not sure what their involvement is in this. Our investigation is partnered up with the Albany County District Attorney, and David and I have had a couple of conversations and we bounced a few messages back and forth as a result. How it expands, I cannot answer that at this point.
Do you have any sense of timing on when you might get the materials from the Attorney General's office?
Well, I would think living in a digital age, we could get it expeditiously, but I'm not confident of that. So I'm hopeful that we'll have it maybe in the middle to latter part of this coming week.
I know the state police are sort of close to this on a number of levels, but at some point would you enlist their help as well?
We may. It all depends, how the investigation unfolds. I think as far as investigations or forensics, I'm very confident in the men and women that work for me. But we may use the lab at some point.
And a recurring theme from the administration as a whole is that a lot of this has just been political in nature and motivation. How can you reassure those who are questioning whether or not this is politically motivated that it isn't?
Politically motivated?
From your office?
From my office? Well, I can tell you, Darryl, that I had a female victim come forward, which had to be the hardest thing she's ever done in her life, and make an allegation of criminal conduct against the governor. I think as far as the sheriff's office, I am elected as well. I think that we have a proven record in this area, in this region, of helping people, taking care of people, and I think that's what we're supposed to do with law enforcement. I think that's what we're supposed to do with government, is take care of people. I have a young lady that came in, who's alleging that she was victimized, and we're doing everything in our powers to help her.
Sheriff, just generally speaking, you talk about how your office works with the district attorney's office in cases like this.
So we will share information back and forth. We may enlist the help of their investigators. He has 7 to 10 investigators over there as well. We may have to partner up to do some interviews or something to that effect. But ultimately, it's welcoming to have the district attorney involved on the foundation. They're very familiar then with the investigation going forward. They know the facts, and you're not in the 11th hour trying to push a case on him and expecting them to make a quick decision.
What do you expect to reach out to the governor's office?
I have no timeline on that whatsoever. Again, we're not going to rush this because of who he is. We're not going to delay it because of who he is. We're going to conduct a very comprehensive investigation, and when the facts and all of that and the evidence is compiled, we'll make a decision at that point.
And besides getting the Attorney General's materials, what other things do you need to have happen first before you reach out to the governor's office? Do you need other types of materials or other types of evidence?
Yes, we do. I'd rather not disclose exactly what we need, but yes, we will need more than just information from the Attorney General. And don't forget, there's going to be an interview conducted at some point with our victim.
And why won't the criminal complaint be released, perhaps in a redacted form to protect their identity or?
In addition to the identity, I was just asked by our district attorney not to release it at this point until we have an additional meeting to discuss exactly what we're going to be able to gather.
What are your comments?
We didn't want to have singular pieces of paper out and about, so we're just going to keep everything in house.
And when will you be meeting with the district attorney?
I'm hopeful for, it could be even tomorrow, it could be Monday or Tuesday.
Sheriff, if all of the allegations are borne out and proved to be true that this woman has come forward with, can you tell us if that would be within the confines of a misdemeanor or would it be a felony?
Well, I don't think that would be proper for me to answer at this point. What I have read so far, I can say that, we're floating around a misdemeanor, but again, that's just from the Attorney General's report. We haven't had an in-depth interview with her.
Thank you.
What are your comments on the statement made yesterday by the governor's attorneys?
I'm sorry.
The comments made yesterday during the briefing with the governor's attorneys.
I did not watch any of that.
At this time, there are less charges.
Do we plan on?
Pressing charges.
Pressing charges.
Pressing charges.
It would be improper for me to answer that right now.
Is it safe to assume that you are protected as far as retaliation from the administration? Or do you think that there is a chance that the administration, being the Cuomo administration, would retaliate against you as there have been ongoing rumors of that kind of behavior?
I'm the county sheriff. I'm not going to be intimidated. I'm not going to be coerced. That would not play out well for anybody.
Can you talk about the special victims unit that's going to be doing both this investigation?
It's a group of investigators that are trained to handle sexual assault investigations, as well as regular criminal investigations. They're very well trained, they're very professional, and very thorough. We only have 2 or 3 that do specific sexual victim investigations, but they have limited resources of other investigators.
Will the call to whether to charge, will that be by your office or the DA's office?
Ultimately, that would be my office, but I would hope that we're in agreement with the district attorney. Listen, if you don't have the backing of the district attorney, it's relatively low to move forward.
There was a fair amount of detail in the Attorney General's report about this incident. Was the complaint made to your office? Did it encompass any additional incidents?
I'd rather not answer that at this time, just to keep things from being convoluted. Anybody else?
When can we expect the next press conference or update, or do you not know?
I do not know. Again, this complaint came in Thursday afternoon. I was unreachable yesterday. We will be sitting down after this and having a meeting with our command staff, come up with a strategic plan, and then we will also confer with the district attorney's office and commence our investigation.
And will you and the district attorney be interviewing the victims together? I think that's not a problem.
In all likelihood, yes. And I need to talk to David about some of the other district attorneys. I've seen that there's 4 or 5 other district attorneys seeking information. Again, I don't think we need to have a room full of people to sit down and interview our victim. So we'll have to go over the logistics of that.
If you guys are sharing documents, why not just show the AG's materials?
We need it. I believe David's reviewing the agency targets as well, yeah. It's kind of a race right now to see who's getting it.
Is there any clarity about whether materials will be given to the assembly first and then DA's, or is it?
Whatever is going on up there is none of my concern. We're seeking investigative material and additional reports from the Attorney General's office and those who conducted the investigation. What's happening on Eagle Street is none of my concern. We're worried about our victim and our investigation.
I know you said you're not giving dates, but it was for executive assistant number 1, there were multiple incidents that were documented. Any concern about statute of limitations on any of these? The Attorney General's report had some dates on there that I believe would fall within that, but is there any concern over that was in the top of it?
None whatsoever. Again, I thank you for coming out. I hate to break up your Saturday, but again, we're just starting to get moving. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Great job. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.